I'm here to talk about a little bit about what we've been up to with our partner Skybound for the past 2 years. This is actually the first time we're officially talking about the game since the announcement a couple months back. So hence I'm going to cheat a little bit and look at my notes. So don't mind about that. But first, yeah, it's working, cool. First, quick recap who I am. So I'm Jukka, or Jukka for like my non-Finnish speaking friends. And I started in the industry about 5 years ago or so while finishing my Master's Science in Tech degree in the local university. Back then, we co-founded Rival Games with 3 good friends of mine. And I became the Chief Eating Officer, or CEO in short, for the company. And basically that means because it's my job to make sure that the team has food on their table every single day. So Chief Eating Officer kind of emphasizes on that. Rival Games, on the other hand, like I said, we've been up around 4.5 years now. We employ 20 people right now, and we specialize in narrative. Our team consists of professional writers, artists, programmers, producers, and audio designers. So basically, we can do everything in-house. We've launched one game called The Detail, which is our own IP, and it's out on Steam and iOS. It's basically a game focusing on tough choices in a crime noir drama. Kind of loosely inspired by HBO's The Wire. And it uses a pretty unique comic visual style. But now let's get to the point why I'm here. So we recently announced that we are working with Skybound, a US-based media studio. Basically, Skybound is the company founded by Robert Kirkman, and it has created comics, television shows, merchandise, and a wide spectrum of video games and entertainment events. Most known, they are for their success on the comic behind the hit Emmy-winning television show AMC's The Walking Dead. And we've actually been, since the past 2 years, we've been working really tightly with them, and now since the game is getting closer to launch, we're basically talking on a daily basis. And they are kind of providing us a lot of support, ranging from like their editorial team to their marketing and PR plans. And the game we're working on is this. So the third-party IP in question is Thief of Thieves. It's a Robert Kirkman original IP, which means he created the whole franchise. And it's an ongoing monthly comic book published by Skybound. When we looked at Skybound portfolio, it was the first IP that instantly resonated with the team, and we felt that we could definitely create something special for the franchise. The comic itself centers around Conrad Paulson, aka Redmond, the craziest thief in the modern world, who kind of quits the business and decides to start stealing from other thieves, so kind of your modern day Robin Hood. Celia, our protagonist in the game, is Conrad's apprentice. Conrad decides to teach her everything he knows in the first issue of the comic while finding out Celia trying to boost his car. This story about a petty thief becoming a master thief is the main focus of our game, and it's never been seen in the comics. So it kind of gives us a lot of freedom to come up with the story, the characters, and everything. The images shown here are actually drawn by Sean Martinbrough, who's kind of a legend in the comic industry. He's been drawing comics, I think, like 20 plus years. Batman at DC, Captain America at Marvel. Now he's drawing Thief of Thieves and Hellboy. And why I'm mentioning this is actually that he's also been part of the development. He's been concepting characters for us and giving us feedback on the visual style. So once again, one way that Skybound has shown their support. And then let's talk a little bit about the game itself, officially titled Thief of Thieves Season 1. So we get control of Celia, a female protagonist, while she's learning the tricks of the trade. However, our main focus is that instead of using violence, the player must use social engineering, diversions, manipulation, and team members to create opportunities to slip in unnoticed, steal the target, whatever that might be, and slip out. At the same time, there are rival parties that are using much more straightforward means, which in turn create tension and tough choices for the player to face. So let's take an example. This is one of the early levels in the game, and the player is supposed to steal a certain object from the villa scene on the background. There's a huge party going on, and actually the whole heist starts a couple hours earlier, during daytime. The player is part of the catering crew, just infiltrating the area, starting to look around, see what kind of security there is, so basically scouting out the place. Then she returns a couple hours later during the party and decides to pull the heist itself. And it's up to the player how they're going to do it. So basically, do you sneak in through the back? Do you steal an invitation, be bold, and walk through the front door? Or do you socially engineer your way as someone's +1? Those are just some choices that we are giving the player. And then, of course, there's like one major choice is, will you talk with the guy you're about to steal from? He's going to recognize you later. So essentially, each heist consists of 3 different phases. There's scouting the place, there's planning the heist, either as an individual or with your team, and then there's executing the heist. And yeah, there are plenty of games that have done a similar structure, but almost all of them rely on violence as the means to reach that goal. Changing that to a more elegant way was one of the core pillars for the narrative and the gameplay that we decided early on with Skybound. So essentially, we want the player to feel like Danny Ocean instead of some guy in a president's mask wearing a bulletproof vest and an assault rifle. Pulling a heist with style and using deception has been one of the most traditional ways in movies and books for ages, but it's rarely seen in games. And as we all know, Danny Ocean isn't anything without his trusted 11 around him. And hence, of course, the team that Celia works with is extremely important as a gameplay mechanic and as well as narrative. Celia can and will use their skills to create diversions and opportunities to reach each target. However, bear in mind that Thief of Thieves Season 1 is not a heist simulator. It's a story about people who perform heists instead. This in turn means that if you treat your team members badly, they are not going to follow your orders later on, because after all, they are professionals as well as you. Narrative has always been rival games' DNA since the beginning. We love storytelling, And already in our first game, the Dita, we created like a vast set of tools and pipelines for creating complex narrative experiences. With the help of Skybound's editorial team, we're taking that to a whole different level. The actions you choose to do in the levels themselves will have consequences for the story, just like your dialogue choices with NPCs. So basically, looking back at the villa example, sneaking through the back door or using the front door is a player choice, and it should have an effect on the narrative just as much as liking or disliking something some character said in a Telltale game. So kind of what we want to emphasize is more the gameplay element as well as the dialogue as a key choice mechanic. So to sum it up short, basically our aim is to create a game where Hitman meets Telltale storytelling. However, instead of killing the target with the most imaginative ways out there, you need to steal the target without using direct violence. At the same time, the player's team members are professional thieves who will judge the player through their actions during the game. And we want to leave it up to the player to decide, is their team going to be a burden or asset on the long run? That's it for me. I hope you enjoyed the short peek in the making of Thief of Thieves. Sorry. And the game's coming out early next year. And there's a lot of different stuff that we're going to announce during the following months, kind of when it's coming out, how it's coming out. But right now, all I can say is it's coming out on Steam early 2018. Thanks. Yeah. Sure.
We have some time for some questions, if anyone wants to ask something.
You said it's more of a storytelling thing than a simulation of a heist. So how do you manage fail states?
That's a good question. We actually manage them. We've been using a German writing software called RDC Draft for the past 5 years. We were like among the first companies that started using it. And basically, Unity, which is the engine we're using, it's more like just the rendering engine for the game. All the logic is handled in RTC. It's a German engineering software, so it works better than Unity in my knowledge. So basically, we're handling them there. So it's pretty much, even though we do have game designers, our writers are creating the logic, and game designers are executing that logic. Anything else? Yeah.
I noticed that it's season 1, so does that mean that the game is going to be episodic?
Yeah. Since our first game, the Dita, was episodic as well, we saw there were certain benefits in the model. And since Skybound has been working with Telltale on The Walking Dead for a long time, so they kind of know how episodic works. So it's definitely going to be episodic, but we are going to have our own twist on that, which I'll be telling about later this year.